Stocks sinking today as tariff uncertainty and more soft data weighed on investors, including a report from Challenger Gray and Christmas showing the highest level of layoffs since July 2020. Joining us now is Claudia Sahm, chief economist at New Century Advisors, former economist at the Federal Reserve. Claudia, welcome. So 2/3 of the reported layoffs in this were in the private sector. We've got DOGE that's been working on more public sector layoffs. At what point do we know if this is creating an environment where not only are jobs being lost, but they're harder to get?
Right. Well, it's a very disconcerting report coming out of Challenger. I think we should think about it. That data can be very good at getting the direction. Right. So we're getting information, layoffs, both private sector and in the federal government are on the rise. Maybe that number, that may be, a little, it can be kind of noisy and it may not show up fully in the official statistics, but it is a warning flag about where the direction of layoffs. And we've known for some time that we've had this very divided labor market in that layoffs have been near historic lows for, years now. Right. And yet hiring rates have not been as high as we would have liked. So we've had this risk going for a while that if layoffs were to pick up, we are in an environment where it does not appear that hiring is happening as rapidly. So unfortunately, there are some signs that this is going from a risk to being the environment that we're in, and that could be a real problem for the labor market as a whole.
So, Claudia, how much of this is government related? Do we know yet? There's a lot of talk about, DOGE cuts and DOGE impact, and that's going to ripple out from Washington. On the flip side of that, there's also a lot of misreporting out there about job cuts coming to fruition in certain agencies in the federal government that hasn't actually happened.
Yeah, the amount of uncertainty that DOGE has created with its move fast and break things process has really, it makes it hard to even get a sense of what layoffs have happened at this point. And then on top of that, you have legal cases that are putting in question whether some of those probationary workers that were laid off, whether they could have been laid off. So we're going to see probably the numbers around the federal government layoffs fluctuate a lot of headlines, potentially misreporting. It's going to take time for this to show up in our official government statistics. We are not on Friday when we get the employment report for February. It's going to come. The time frame for it, the week of the 12th, this is before a lot of the big layoffs started with the probationary workers. So we really have a fragmented picture of what's happening in terms of federal government layoffs. And then there's a big question in the spillover, the canceling of contracts that would go into, hospitals, nonprofits, state and local governments. That's another big question. And frankly, that's a much bigger pool of workers that could be put at risk from the DOGE actions.
And what does history tell us about the influence of federal budget and job cuts on the private sector, including, as you just referenced, contractors and businesses that are closely connected to the federal government and geographic areas where the federal government is a big employer?
Right. So unfortunately, history may not be a great guide here. The federal government employment, it's less than 2% of overall employment. Even if you take the federal contractors, people who are employed on federal grants, that, you're still well under 10% of the labor force. So we're talking about a small group. And yet the thing that DOGE has done, because they're moving so quickly with these layoffs, is they're really concentrating at a moment in time the amount of people who are then out looking for new work. There have been times President Clinton was also decades ago put in place a long period of reducing the federal workforce. It happened over multiple years. Right now, what DOGE is doing is trying to really front load that, and it puts so much pressure on the private sector to be able to absorb that work. If DOGE would slow things down, actually, the disruptions from this probably would be much more focused on the government sector. And you can have, but that's a choice they're making.